here we go again. This video is on the 2010 Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Handbook of Instructions, volume number 1. Now they're coming in volumes, like the Journal of Discourses. This is the secret one. Number 1 is for stake presidents and bishops and on up through the general authorities. Number 2 is for you people that are Mormons. It says nothing. It's the secret one that I'm going to tell you about today. And again, I made a video the other day, and I told you I didn't see a lot of meanness and a lot of ugliness in this document. I really didn't. There's some positive things. It's certainly cult practices. It's certainly control. And the main control that the Mormons want to have over you is your penis and your vagina. Because they know everybody's got one or the other, so they know they can get you. Okay, let's take the Church Handbook of Instructions, volume number 1. Now, I'm only going to do half this video on this is like, I forget if it's, I think it's 190 pages or something. I can't put it all on one video because I don't want to. So let me just give you the highlights that I've got. Okay, section 3.3.4 is about transsexuals. If you've had your vagina or your penis altered, you're dog shit. You're never going to get a recommend. You're never going to be married in the temple. And I guess if you're a male and you had the priesthood, if you cut your penis off, the priesthood is in the penis. You don't have any priesthood. You're gone. Okay, so the meanness that is left mostly in the Mormon church in its leadership, again, has to do with your vagina and your penis. And so if you're a transsexual, and, you know, with my degrees and experience in counseling, there's people that are born in the wrong bodies. You may have a penis, but you love dresses and makeup and nails, and you talk soft, and you love children, and you have all the female characteristics, but you have a penis between your legs. Well, that's a hard life. Who are we to say? Once that person gets to be of age and some experience in life, and they say, I've been a girl all my life, but I just happen to have a penis, I'd really like to be a real girl. It's okay if we have our nose fixed with plastic surgery. It's okay if we have a facelift with plastic surgery. I didn't see any of those requirements in the handbook, and lack of opportunity. But if you're a girl in a man's body and you cut that penis off, and only a girl would cut it off. If you were really a man, you wouldn't cut the penis off no matter what. You go, hey, I'll deal with whatever I have to deal with. So anyway, here's the transsexual section now that they're still enforcing. And it's interesting, as a sidelight, I didn't make a note on this one. And that is that if you have had homosexual experiences as a young person, and the word in the book, the manual, was experimental, that you can still not be considered homosexual. The church is recognizing that, I forget what the numbers are, but they're high. They're like 30 to 40% of most males and most females, you know, have had some kind of homo or lesbian experience with other people their own age. So I don't know what a young age is, but the church then draws the line and says, if a person is older and they're really engaging in homosexual behavior with the same person over and over again, and or several persons over and over again, they can't go on a mission. They're dog shit. They're second-class citizens in the Mormon church. So anyway, if any of you girls are thinking of cutting your penis off, realize the priesthood is in that penis. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. That same section there's a 3.3.4. I found this to be kind of interesting because I haven't seen this before, because I've never apostatized before. I've never had, when the bishop asked me in the interviews, he would say, well, Brother David, do you have any sympathy or are you a member of any apostate organizations? I go, no. Well, he'd go right on in the interview. That was the end of the question. Now I found out that because I have 14 kids, and I forget, 12 or 11 are still in the Mormon church, much to my chagrin. But anyway, when they hit that question, according to the handbook now, and again, there's selective enforcement. Mormonism is totally selective enforcement. So if they want to hammer the shit out of you, they pick up the document and go, see, there it says right there. If you pay lots of tithing or your dad is an apostle, they go, don't worry about the book. We can make an exception here. But anyway, my children now, if your parents have been people who've had their name removed from the church or been excommunicated, you have to go through a little bit more heavy interview. My kids have to say, well, yes, my father left the church. Well, now I'm exaggerating. The book didn't say this, but you've got to throw yourself down on the ground and beg the bishop and grab his pants and say, but I don't believe in my father. I don't talk to my father. I hate my father. He's going to hell, my father. I don't want to be sealed to him. And after you've gone through that ritual, then the bishop can say, okay, I believe you, and then they can pass on to get a temple recommend. But boy, if you've got a close relative that has some sympathy for polygamy and or apostatizing, you're a second-class citizen in the bishop's interview. Okay, and that is 3.36. I quoted that wrong. That's 3.36 on apostate groups. Okay, now, I made a little bit of a mistake, and again, I want to be honest with you, man. If I make mistakes, write to me. Put it on the comments. David, you're an idiot. You know, this didn't okay, so I'm not offended by that. I just block you. Don't do that either. Okay, I said the other day that you had to burn the markings in your temple garments. Now, according to the handbook, now see, I'm telling you, after 50 years of being a Mormon, that's what we had to do. We had to set them on fire and the smoke had to go into heaven, I guess. But now the 2010 handbook says that you cut the garments. That's 3.4.8. Says that you cut the markings out of the garments and then you cut them up real small, and then you cut the garments so they can't be recognized as a garment. It does use the word destroyed. So burning is an option, but cutting is what's mentioned. But destroying them is an option. So I don't know. You put acid on them, put fire on them. I don't know. But they don't want the other members of the world to see them. Just go on the computer and look up the Masonic symbols and signs. There they are, the Mormons. Oh, that's a coincidence. Okay. I'm taking a look here. Now, this is kind of a tough one for me because one thing about the Mormon church is they're very, very male-oriented. If you have a vagina and breast, you're dog shit in the Mormon church. You make babies, and that is basically your job. You cook meals, and you take care of those damn kids until you're so fat, so old, with no education, that you hate yourself and you're on prescription drugs. Now, here's what I don't like about any society. Any society. Doesn't have to be Mormons. Can be Catholics. Can be Lutherans, whatever. Any organization that hurts children, I'm against. I'm against. My degrees are in child development. And from early inception of my life, I believe in protecting children. Well, here's some of the interesting things that they used to just say, now Jesus will figure that out. Well, they've kind of talked to Jesus, I guess, and they're figuring it out. Now, there's a term in the church called born in the covenant. Born in the covenant children are first-class citizens in the Mormon church. If you're sealed to your parents and weren't born in the covenant, you're okay, but you're not born in the covenant. So being born in the covenant carries a certain amount of status and power when you're looking for people for jobs and important things. The people born in the covenant means their parents had temple recommends and were worthy. If you're not born in the covenant, the assumption can only be one or both of your parents did not have a temple recommend, and you were born to those people. Now you can go to the temple and be sealed to them, but now both parents have to be worthy. Both parents have to have a recommend, and I think you have to be under 18. So there's first and second class citizens. Now, here's what I don't agree with, okay, and I'm upset about. Not so much that I'm gonna stab myself or something. I don't think this is fair. Okay, let's say that a mom and dad, 22 years old, whatever, they have 2 babies, okay, and the mom and dad were married in the temple. Those 2 babies are born under the covenant. They're up there. Now, let's say that 2 years later, the dad resigns from the church. Now, the sealing is not affected. Those first 2 children are still born under the covenant to the same mom and to the same dad they're sealed to. Now, here's the one that makes me upset. The mom has another 2 babies. They're not born under the covenant because the father doesn't have his membership and or a recommend. So they're now children that need to be sealed to an eternal family. Well, you can't seal them to the original mother and father because they're probably divorced, or at least the dad can't go to the temple, so they can't be sealed. So 2 kids in the family can look at the other 2 and go, hey, we're the covenant children, you're the ones that are dog shit. How does that make a child feel? So the mother goes, well, let's try to get the other 2 sealed in the temple. So she tries to reactivate her husband, and he's like me. He has a certain degree of intelligence and an IQ over 1 digit. So he goes, no, I'm not going to do it. Now the mother's stuck. Now the mother is stuck. Those kids can't be sealed to anyone. She has to divorce his ass and then marry a worthy priesthood holder, break up the family, and then they can go to the temple with those other 2 kids, but those 2 kids are sealed to that mother and that father, the new father. So, Jesus. And they're all going to live in heaven in the celestial kingdom, and families are forever. They're not even for 10 years down here. You believe that stuff? Believe it. So, if she gets divorced again, or that father dies again, and she's pregnant, and that baby is born, unless she marries again, that baby is not born in the covenant, it's not sealed to anybody, and it floats like the Catholics in limbo. Mormon limbo. Sounds like a dance you could do, So anyway, that's crap. That's crap because they can't figure this crap out. It's all made up, and when you look at it and go, well, this one, okay, those kids look at those kids and they're higher and they're making fun of their brothers and sisters because they weren't born in the covenant. And then they've got the one mongrel kid. It's not sealed and he's not born in the covenant. He's just an illegitimate. He's just an illegitimate brother or sister in the Mormon faith and the Mormon sealings in the temple. Legally, he's not, born out of wedlock. But anyway, when you start to unravel a pile of snakes, you just can't get them down to one snake. They're going to continue to, twist around each other. This looks like a DNA helix that's gone bad. But anyway, there's the way children are treated in the handbook right now of the Mormon Church, okay? If you're not born in the covenant, you're screwed. Okay, now there is something new here, which, I think, I know, because the Mormon Church has paid millions and millions and millions of dollars in child abuse and sexual abuse court cases in the last 10 years. They just lost 3 million up in New England area, and they've got a 5 million one that they're appealing. How do you appeal a sex anyway, this particular doctrine, let me get it right here. Okay, the ones that are not born under the covenant, let me give you that. It's 3.6.2. That's how children can be bastards. Not legal bastards, but Mormon bastards. I've had a couple of those kids. And they're still Mormons, and they were born under the covenant. So none of this makes any sense. Oh, the annotated records. Okay, these records now, when you're a Mormon, boy, there's records. I mean, it's like living in a fishbowl. They know everything about you. So if you've had problems anywhere in your life, you may be mentally ill, or you may have been in jail, or you have been accused or convicted of child molestation, your record now in the Mormon church, when it comes to the bishop, when you move into the new ward, it'll say, I've never seen one, I'm just imagining now, it'll probably say, asshole, child molester. And if you get Joseph Smith's record accidentally, it's got to say predator, con man, fraud, disorderly conduct. He couldn't have a primary job in the modern church that he invented. So you have annotated records. And so if you've been a bad boy or a bad girl, and the church knows about it, it's going to go on your record, and the bishop is going to know that. And so if you don't get called for a position, they probably won't even show you your record. It's sacred. Anything that is a secret in the Mormon church, they always call sacred. But anyway, if you've done something, they know about it. And then you're going to know about it because you're on the record. Now, here's one that kind of gets me too, because I've worked with disabled people my whole life. We have a gentleman here that's blind, and he goes to work every day and comes home from work every day. He's self-supporting, being blind. And just a little bit of help here and there. He has a special van that picks him up. Now, let me give you the quote on this, because get yourself a copy of the handbook yourself. 4.5.3. You want to go on a mission? If you're fat, you ain't going. Fat man or fat woman, you ain't going. It's clear as a bell. Look up that reference right there, and it says, you can't stand the rigors of missionary work. Well, I've dealt with handicapped people, and to me, being overweight and fat, grossly overweight and fat, certainly can be slowing you down walking. It doesn't hurt you talking. It doesn't hurt you knocking on doors. To the Mormon church, it's embarrassing. They don't want fat people out there. They want the cream of the crop, the best looking men, the best looking woman, and they're to show you that's the image of the Mormon church. There's no fat in the Mormon church. There's no retarded in the Mormon church. There's no ugliness in the Mormon church. Oh, Jesus. Just go to one ward. Just go to one ward and sit down. And out of 100 people, you're going to see 2 or 3 that are kind of cute and handsome. The rest looks like a mental institution. Mixed with being hit with the eternal ugly stick. We sat yesterday, my wife and I, we went out to lunch again, and there was a Mormon couple that was sitting across the way from us. How do I know they're Mormon? Because they never smiled, they never talked, and they looked like they had just walked out of hell, and they know they're going back in. They were the most sad, and I'm telling you, these people were probably in their mid-60s, maybe late 60s. They're miserable human beings. They have no sense of humor. Nothing is funny. So let's go back to the fat kid, okay? I think that there has to be, again, some reasonableness to this. And the church, certainly, all the Mormons watching this, he's the devil. There is reasonableness. Well, the reasonableness, I guess, if you're 600 pounds and you're laying in a bed and they're bringing you a urinal and putting food into your mouth, you probably are not going to be a good missionary. But gosh, you know, if you're 19 years old and you weigh, I don't know, 230, 240, you know, that's a little chubby, and 250, but you can still get in a bus seat. I don't know if you can get in an airplane seat. I worry about that myself all the time. But anyway, I think we should give those kids a chance, you know, same way with the girls. You know, she's not married or she would not be going on a mission. It used to be the mission girls were as ugly as a mud fence. They were the only ones that had the fat ankles, the fat ass, and no makeup, and hair that looks like they took a blender to it, and they don't think wearing makeup. They would have been better off painting themselves like a clown. But anyway, that's a little prejudice on my side. So the girls now the same way. You can't be chubby and go on a mission. You know, people that are chubby are there for certain reasons, and most of them are emotional. Most fat people don't have physical problems. Oh, my thyroid is not working. Oh, my kidneys pump too much water. You know, that's crap. That is crap. Those are just excuses for being fat. People that are fat overeat. And they overeat because of anxiety. They're not happy. They're guilty. They're fearful. They're afraid they're going to say something or make a mistake, and they'd rather stay at home and just, you know, have a Coke and potato chips. Now, there's a few of us, not many. I'm diabetic, and I shoot a lot of insulin every day. And if you overshoot insulin, God, you get so hungry. You go out and get cookies and brownies and smash them in your mouth. That's not an excuse. You know, as a diabetic, I should be testing my sugars, but they change. They change with emotion. Being on this camera, my sugars are going to be up. Should I shoot more insulin? Because when I go off the camera, now my sugars go down, the insulin is coming up, and anyway, you know, I'm not trying to defend fatness, but there can be some physical attributes. But I love Cokes and candy bars and potato chips. That's probably more important than the insulin I shoot. So I'm saying these young people, my daughter has a friend, they're in 7th grade together, Sarah, and Sarah... Now, I guess I am laughing because of Sarah, but I'm not being cruel. I'm not being cruel. My girl invited Sarah to the pool. We have a pool. And she's invited all of her friends, the black ones, the Tongans, the Caucasian, the young ones, the 6th graders, and the old ones. And so, you know, my girls are very social and very trained to look out for some of these kids. Well, Sarah jumped in the pool, and I thought it was going to be Free Willy. The wave washed 2 or 3 little kids up on the concrete. I didn't want to laugh. Now, I'm laughing now, not at Sarah, but at what fat people have to go through. Now, I think Sarah is probably 6'1", and probably 350 pounds. And she's a friend. She's a good friend of my daughter. And my daughter's tiny. Gosh, she's only 96 pounds and long black hair and as cute as can be. And she befriends this girl, and she helps her at school. And when Sarah, you know, can't get stuff out of her locker, my girl is helping her. And Sarah now is not going to school very much. She has a physical disability. Well, I told my daughter, you know, with a body like that in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, she's going to get teased until she is in tears all the time, and she feels that she has no value, no worth, and no ego. The girl is a nice girl. I like her. She's been over to the house here, and like I said, we went swimming, and I think our pool is 6 feet at the bottom. And the only person I've ever seen walk the pool with her head out of the water over the drain plug was Sarah. So I'm just laughing. And I'm so grateful that my girls, they don't discriminate. They just say, hey, I don't care if she's fat. I like her personality. Well, that's what I'm saying about these missionary kids. They've had this in school. they've been maybe in the band or they've been in the marching band, and they are a little fat and they are a little self-conscious, and they may have a little bit of physical problems, but you go into their families and you find out there's no father there, and the mother works all the time when the child comes home and has no one to confide in, and then the child has hypochondriac kinds of issues. So what I'm saying is for the Mormon church to just go flat out, no fatties. It should have said no uglies, because if you go to BYU, there's not an ugly girl at BYU. Now, when you've got 4 million members, is what they really have, not 14. They've got 4 million members that are active. Those bishops and those stake presidents are going to invite those good-looking girls to go to BYU. And because it's the prime university, and there's going to be TV cameras there, and they want to put their best foot forward. And there's nothing wrong with an organization putting its best foot forward. But when they put their foot on the throat of children who have a little bit of psychological issue or a little bit of social or mental issue, I don't like that. And I'm free these days to say that. I'm not a Mormon anymore. I can say the truth. My degree says that. My eyes and my ears have seen that. Sarah loves to come over to our house and walk the pool. And that's great. That's great, I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with the Mormon church saying, don't put fat people out there. And they didn't say anything about ugly. But you know darn well that that follows, Again, you don't have to see it written in the handbooks. It's under the table. We don't want any fat kids out there. Okay, so now here's some of the other things. Let me do these out of order here. When you go on a mission, you have to have private insurance. The Mormon church ain't going to pay crap for you to be out there. So if you're run over on your bike or you have a car accident like Romney did, and he was in the hospital, I think, for 2 weeks and killed the mission president's wife who was sitting beside him on his French mission in France, his private insurance has to kick in. The church ain't going to put one dime down for a missionary being legitimately hurt. There was one missionary in one of the third world countries the other months, it's been about a year, I guess, that wanted his picture taken with the lions and the tigers. And so these 19-year-old kids, they're stupid. I don't know how you can put a 19-year-old out there. But anyway, he leans against the cage and his companion starts to take his picture with the lions in the back. Well, the lions didn't stay in the back. They came up to this missionary, grabbed his coat, started chewing on his arm. And the damn companion is trying to pull this idiot away from the lions and the tigers and the bears. Maybe it was the yellow brick road. I don't know. But here's Mr. Stupid leaning against, and he got sent home from his mission. I think he got a dishonorable discharge based on intelligence. And he's here in Utah. He was a Utah Mormon, and oh God, he's had plastic surgery. He has magic arms that are now on computers. Now, I don't know. I know he's been in the hospital for surgery 2 or 3 times. So I don't know if he's a bionic man now or not. But I know if I was him and they said, do you want to go back and finish your mission? And I would say, when pigs fly, stay out of there. So anyway, you have to have your own insurance. Now, let's say you don't have insurance. The church is going to help you out. Now, the church used to own Beneficial Life Insurance Company. It was around for 100 years. And the church poured $500 million into it just before it went bankrupt. So if you're a policyholder, hopefully they have a reserve and you'll get your money if you die. But no new sales are going on. They've closed the building down. It was a multi-million-dollar building that the church lost their ass on. But it's your money. They don't care. The hinkster, he buys the salamander letter. He shuts down Beneficial. So you can't even get a medical policy Well, beneficial was mostly life insurance. I think there was medical there too. But anyway, they're bankrupt. And the church lost 500,000 of your pesos. Jesus. All the agents had no job. All the secretaries were fired. So, buying insurance from the Mormon church is really a Ponzi scheme. We're the #1 state for Ponzi schemes. I just read an article this morning that a high priest in his ward, I don't know, it's 14 million or 20 million that he stole from his ward members. He's in California, but there's 4 or 5 others that were arrested with him that are in Utah, and one is in Provo, Utah. But the church cut you a break on this insurance, okay? They don't give you a penny, but they refer you to Deseret Missionary Insurance. So they've got your free labor, you pay for your suit, and the rest of the ward members pay for their housing, which is now with members because the church is out of money. And they've taken the cars away from the missionaries and the bikes, if you have one. It may not have tires, I don't know. But anyway, they have this special missionary fund, and I'm sure that they're not making money off it. This is a contribution. I can't even think that the church is charging them and making money in one of their private corporations for the missionaries required to have insurance. And the same way with the seniors. If you're on Medicaid or Medicare, that isn't enough. You have to have that 20% somewhere else with a private insurance company. So anyway, that's a good deal for the missionaries. Okay. Now, here's section 4.9.9. Okay, this one breaks my heart too. This is cult. This is, boy, just down your throat cult. If you're out on a mission and your mother dies, or your father, or your brother, or your sister, the Mormon church basically says to you, you're not going to a funeral. You're here in the Philippines. This is where the Lord wants you. He doesn't want you back in Nevada with your parents, watching them go in the ground. The hell's wrong with you? And the missionary can, well, gee, I kind of like to go to the funeral. And if the missionary is persistent and disobedient, then they will allow him to actually go to one of his parents' funeral. My experience is about 60%, 65 maybe, stay in the mission field going, God wants me here, the prophet puts me here, screw my parents. They didn't do anything for me. The other 25% or so, I do think, go home, and then the church takes a chance on them grieving and not going back on their mission, and perhaps even leaving the church and not paying tithing. Those are the real reasons that you wouldn't release a child to go to their parents' funeral. It's sick kind of stuff. It's sick kind of stuff. And it's cult. It's cult. The left side of the brain is not working at all. It's just common sense. If a child wants to go to a parent's funeral, let it. Even if it's in prison, send 2 guards with him, and, he can go to his parents' funeral. But that's just me, the way I deal with the world. The Mormons deal with it very, very differently. So that's the first parts of the handbook. I'm going to read a little bit more of it, and I'll circle areas that I'll put on video, because all of you Mormons in Utah, you don't have this in front of you. You don't have this in front of you. You don't know anything because it's sacred. It's secret. Well, it's like playing a football game that you don't know anything about football, and the rule book is with the other team. How are you going to play a game when you can't see the rules, when you can't see the punishments, when you can't see where the discretion is, where you can't see? You didn't know that a chubby kid, and you've got 2 of them, can't go on a mission. You didn't know that. I didn't know that either. And of course, if your kid has mental conditions, it says if they're on meds, they have to stay on meds. That's reasonable kind of stuff. But if they're mentally challenged, they can't go either. Well, I see some in that, because it's different. I have a child that has an IQ of 52. He's autistic. And you couldn't send him on a mission. It's hard to send him across the street for, a candy bar. But there's others that are, they're functional people. But the church doesn't want to put an image forth that there's real people in the Mormon church. When you take a look at I'm a Mormon advertisement, you don't see anybody in a wheelchair. You don't see any aged people in a nursing home. You don't see any retarded or autistic or physically handicapped people. The Mormons don't have that. They're going to put forth that everybody is young and healthy and the Lord is blessing them. And there's even a little talk in the Mormon church, if you have a special ed child, you did something wrong. You're being punished because you have a special ed child. So, those are some of the things out of the church handbook that you Mormons, you don't get to see it. I do. Here I am, an apostate and a atheist, and I'm reading your own rules to you. Does that seem right? Hey, if you're a Mormon, it must be right. Go for it.